Hi, I'm Jo from J.H.Leather and welcome to the J.H.Leather Podcast. In this episode, we are talking about my post-office struggles, my lack of time management, and a potential rebrand. So it has been another busy month for me, just in general, really. It started out at the beginning of the month. I had a 4-day one-to-one workshop with a lovely lady called Julie, and she had flown all the way from the USA to come and do her workshop, which I still find pretty amazing. She is the third international student that I have had in the workshop this year, and yeah, it's just amazing to think that she actually planned a holiday around coming to the workshop to actually do the workshop with me, which is pretty cool. So we were doing a 4-day one-to-one bridal making workshop. So usually for the one-to-one bridal workshops, I usually suggest 5 days just because there is a lot of stuff going on and that needs to get done, and we will be using obviously thick bridal leather, so that is a bit different to when you're using a sort of more softer shoulder. Because the leather is so much thicker, it is a lot harder to stitch, and also you're stitching in 10 stitches per inch, so there is a lot to get done. But Julie managed so well, so she had sort of some previous experience from doing repairs and small little bits and pieces back home, but she'd never tackled anything like this at all. And yeah, like I said, she got on really well. We started out doing a little stitching sample just to get her used to stitching through the thick bridal leather before moving on to actually making the bridal. Now, I did have a bit of an issue with this in terms of Royal Mail screwing me over a bit, because I ordered in the materials specifically for this workshop. I had some available, but I needed a few extra buckles and a little bit more leather, so I ordered that from my friend Izzy, who runs IR Bridals, because I don't need a whole hide, I just needed like a bit of a hide. Anyway, she sent them off all in good time, and Royal Mail had managed to lose the parcel, which was less than ideal. So on the first day, whilst Julie was getting all her sort of samples made up and doing her stitching practice, I ended up trying to get all the pieces together so she could complete the bridal. Now, I already had a brown sort of dark Havana hide, which the dark Havana hides, I do love. They're such a nice sort of rich colour. They're very nice hides. And I ended up, fortunately, I have a lot of not samples but items that I made when I was doing my own training. I still have them, and so I was able to actually cannibalize them, unfortunately for them, so I could get all the buckles that we needed to actually make a pair of bridles each, because I do generally make whatever it is we are working on the workshops as well, so I can show what actually needs to be done and all that sort of good stuff. So even though I had planned to get everything started and going off all right, my plans didn't go as well as I thought, but thankfully, Royal Mail did refund the parcel, so that's fine. And I've just heard from Izzy and it has been redelivered to her. So I'm not sure what happened in the time it took from it getting from Oswestry, where it was at the sorting office, to getting lost and then making it back to Izzy. I'm not too sure what happened there. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. The good thing is I got a refund and Julie still got to make her bridal. So yes, after the fiasco of the materials, we got down to work, and now the first thing we start on is the headpiece and the brow band, because you can cut those out from the same piece of leather, and that's quite a nice good thing to start on, because you've got the two sort of full thicknesses of leather, sort of. You do skive down the back of the brow band a little bit on the turns, so we can start off by doing that, and then by doing the buckle turn on the throat lash, which is quite tricky because it is 1/2 inch and you do have a fixed loop in there as well. And then once we had done that, we then moved on to the cheek pieces, the reins and the nose band. And like I said, Julie was such a trooper. She was so good. She really sailed through doing all the pieces. I helped out a little bit by making some of the running loops because they are a bit fiddly, and that gave Julie the time to do all the rest of the stitching. And so she pretty much made the entire bridle herself, other than about, I think, maybe 4 running loops. So that is really good. And she got it all finished within the 4 days in the workshop, and then also had time to make a keyring, which was pretty cool. And so that was at the very beginning of the month. And now you might have heard in the last episode of the podcast, I actually have my family over in the UK at the moment, and so straight after Julie's one-to-one workshop, my little sister had arrived with her fella for a few days, and we went just off exploring Wales for a couple of days. We went up a mountain, which I hadn't been up before because I didn't have anyone to go up there with me because Tim's not really a walker. So we went up Caer Berwyn, which is very close by, which is really amazing. It was incredibly windy at the top though, so we got up there, took a photo, and then scurried down pretty much as fast as we could. And then we also went up around Lake Vyrnwy because that is another really nice sort of location, which is really close by. by to where I live. And so that was really nice getting to show them around a bit. And then after that, it was down to Devon for a weekend on Exmoor with the rest of my family. So my brother and his partner and my older sister as well as my dad. And again, we were doing lots of walking over there, and it was just great for us all to get together because it has been a very, very long time from when we were all together at the same time, with Becky moving out to Australia, I think coming on 7 or so years ago, maybe 8, I think, coming up. And my younger sister had been out of the country entirely for 5.5 years. So yeah, it was great to see them all. And we had a really lovely time. And then it was back up home and straight into actually doing some filming for Tim. So he's sort of taking me on to do some video content for the bike park and their YouTube channel. So if you're interested in mountain biking, I will leave a link to the bike park's YouTube in the description. So yeah, so I then went on because they've had a race. So they had the final round of the UK National Downhill Series at the bike park. So I went along for the 2 days to do some filming and make a highlights video for them, which was really fun. And it's great. I mean, I love making videos, and because that is so different to what my videos normally are, and it's different again from the sort of vlog style sailing videos that I've done on my other channel. And so yeah, it was really good to actually get out and do something different and just learn basically, and just spend 2 days with the camera and Skylar in the woods, which was really fun. And then after the race, sort of the Thursday after, I was then off to Norwich where my mum's family live, and we again had another family reunion over there, which was just awesome to see everyone, because like I said, it's hard, I think, for anyone really to get together just in general with how busy everyone is. So it was great to be able to get together with everyone and just see everyone again all at one time, which was ideal. And we had a lovely time. Now, in between all my rushing around here, there and everywhere, I did manage to get a couple of videos out. I was hoping to get a third one out, but I just didn't have time to film it. So we had the hound collar video, which went live, which I was really pleased about. And I've just released the shorts for that actually yesterday as I'm recording this. So on the 27th of September. And that has gone mini viral for me, at least. And so as I looked at it this morning, it had over 10,000 views within like 14 hours, which is pretty crazy. And so that's, yeah, really excited for that. Hopefully it will continue to get all the views. Now, as I've learned in the past, you don't really get any money from shorts, no matter how many people watch them. The belt video that I did, that has got over like 2 million views, I think now. I think has made me about £5. They do get subscribers, so hopefully it's going to help with hitting the 100,000 subscriber mark, which I am hoping to get by the end of the year, but I'm not too sure. I mean, things have slowed down a bit this year because I wasn't able to make videos when we were away in Scotland. And so the thing with YouTube is you need to be consistent and get as many videos out as you can to keep growing. And I think with, you know, all that's been going on with me just going around all over the place, it has taken a bit of a knock-on effect on that, but that's fine. My goal is to still just put out, well, hopefully high quality content. Hopefully that's what you think. That's what my aim is to get out high quality content for you guys that will hopefully help you along in your own leathercraft adventure. So speaking of time management, that is somewhere where I need to really work on. So if any of you have any advice on that, what my issue is, well, partly I think I just get distracted a lot and I put off doing the things that I don't really want to do, which I think is quite normal. But yeah, it's just time management. Like I reckon, I mean, depending on what it is I'm making videos wise, I could probably do my tool time and my other video, as I call it, which is like either a skills or just like a little highlight or something like that. I could probably do them really easily within a week and get them done and edited, and then maybe spend one more week doing or like developing and then filming the make along video. However, I got lots of stuff going on, and so I find it hard to prioritize, I think is what it is. So I need to prioritize making the videos because I can edit them in the evening, you know, if needed. And I'd rather not. I'd rather spend like a day during the day doing it, so I still have sort of some work-life balance. But it is, I'm hoping with me now hopefully not going all over the place at least for the next couple of months or so, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to really knuckle down and get my videos done and try and get myself a proper schedule of work, because that's the thing, because I'm self-employed, the only person I have to answer to is myself. So yeah, like I said, if I'm not like, don't really want to do something, then chances are I'm not. And I just need to get out of the habit of doing that. Yeah, so if you have any advice for me on that, like it is something I've always struggled with, my own time management. I generally can get stuff done, but it's not efficient in any way. So yeah, that is something that I really need to work on the next few months, really, and then continue to work on it. Yeah, I mean, I just want a structure, I guess, to be like, today you are doing this, and if you don't, that sucks, because that's the day you've got to do it. I don't really know, it's hard because also things always take longer than expected. So when it comes to the video, especially like the talking head ones, so if I'm making a video like on a skill or a tool time video, that is scripted, and then so I've got to plan the video, or think about what it is I'm going to do, and then break that down into what key points I need to talk about, and then write the script and write it in a way that I can actually read it, because I did do a test online because I was quite interested. So at school they said I was a little bit dyslexic, and I did a test online. I don't know how scientific it is. Anyway, I scored in quite on the low end, but it was in the dyslexic end of it, because I do find basically reading I'm okay with, but it's reading out loud and I stumble over my words, I swap words around, and I do find that really hard. So when I'm doing the teleprompter stuff, I have to break it down a lot, because I have to redo each part over and over again, because I get the words wrong, I forget the words, I get them muddled up, and so anyway, back on script. So I plan the video, break it down, and then write down each key bit, and then make it so that I can easily read it off the teleprompter. Then I have to record all of those bits, and then film all the overlays for that, and then I can edit it together. And so even with that one video, let's say I've got like a tool time and maybe a skills video, I could probably film, depending on them, probably film it all in a day, and then it would probably be another half a day editing, something like that. If I'm not having to do a voiceover, it is much quicker. So those two are sort of similar. And then for the make along videos, it depends entirely on what I am making. So for the next video, we are going to be making a raised belt tutorial. It's going to be a raised belt tutorial. So I know how to make that, and there's not going to be like a pattern for that as such, at least at the moment. I'm thinking there's not going to be. I do have the belt ends templates, which I will probably use in the video, just because I have them. But in general, everything's going to be included within the video, so you're not going to need a template for it as such. So for those sort of videos where I don't need to create a template first and test it, I can just go out and make the video. And to be fair, making the raised belt like that is probably going to take me a day to film and create that, because there is a lot going on and you got to wait for the glue to dry. And although I do have a heat gun now, which I tested and works brilliantly, so that's good, especially coming into the colder season, because the workshop is going to be getting colder. However, update quick, but I think I was talking about in another video, in another podcast even, that my workshop does get incredibly cold, which is why I stopped doing the workshops from October to like April time. There has been a very small step in getting a bit more insulation in there, in such as the trusts that own the building where my workshop is have given the go ahead to put in some temporary insulation in the ceiling, which is going to be ideal, because it's going to help actually keep the heat in, which is going to be that's number one tick right there, because at the moment it just whooshes up out, because it's not a very well sort of sealed ceiling. So upstairs there's workshops, and like on one end, if they're making like a mess, or if they're like sweeping or anything, it comes down into my workshop, because there's a gap between the wall and the floorboards up there. So that's going to stop that for one, which is great, and it's going to keep some of the heat in my workshop, which is number two. Great. But also it's also going to help with some of the sound troubles that I have when people are upstairs, regardless of what they're doing, whether they're walking or talking or listening to music. Generally you can hear it in my workshop. So, and also, I mean, they're going to hear me. I mean, sound travels both ways, so hopefully that is going to help with that. I haven't had a date as to when they're going to put that in, but they did ask how much of the insulation board they're likely to need, because they come in 8x4 sheets. So I measured that out for them. So hopefully I should probably send them an email really regarding that. Anyway, yes. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's going to happen. But that is a side note to what I was talking about, which I've sort of forgotten. No, I haven't. We were talking about, so yeah, making a tutorial where I don't need to create a pattern first. So they are generally quicker to do because, like I said, I don't need to do a test one first. I know what I am doing. And so, yeah, I mean, even still, they're going to take all day to film and then another whole day to edit, because I've got to edit everything down. So I've got all the key points that are happening throughout the video because they are needed. And then I have to color it and do all that. And then I need to do a voiceover as well, because that is how I like to do my videos. And now I could, I guess, record this in camera, but I prefer not to, because that way I know I've got all the information in the video that you are going to need to actually recreate whatever it is that I am making yourself. So I find that that is the way I like doing it. And like I said, with there being sort of noises in the workshop and stuff like that, it's easier if I can just sort of do that at home and I can just sort of record the voiceover. But like I said, so for a make-along video, that's a good 2 days at least, if that's an easy build. If it's a bigger build, then that takes an awful lot longer, and especially if I've got to make patterns and test them first. So I've got to make the patterns, test it, refine the patterns, make the video, edit the video, and get it out. So sometimes, I think the longest video that it was one of the bag videos. It was either the tote bag or it's probably the grab bag. It was one of those, because there's a lot of stuff going on and I needed to make a prototype first. And so, yeah, depending on how long the prototype takes, it could take like a good week to get one video. So yeah, it takes a lot of my time, but I'm hoping if I can sort of work around myself and actually get concentrating, I reckon I could probably do everything in probably about 2-ish weeks of the month, and then I can focus on other stuff. So sort of doing the stuff for Tim, which I need to set aside time for, as well as pushing the business forward and coming up with ideas for other videos and planning them out ready for the next month as well. And then this podcast also, this takes me most of a day-ish to sort of record and edit. And so yeah, a lot of my time is spent editing, really, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's something I really enjoy and something that I'm going to continue to do because I love it so much. So that was a little bit waffly, but moving on to looking ahead for the month. So in October, I have my final 2 one-to-one workshops coming up. They're both 2 days. We are going to be making wallets with one of the guys, and then with the other, we're doing sort of dog collars and belts and stuff. And both of them are pretty new to leather work, which is why they're doing the 2 days, so they can make the most of their time in the workshop and get all the skills they need to hopefully go on and continue doing their crafting at home afterwards. So these workshops are the final ones of 2022, which, as I was saying earlier, that is mostly down to the workshop getting incredibly cold over the winter period. And so hopefully it won't be as cold with the new, hopefully, installation. I don't think there's going to be any movement on the old window front yet, because they need planning permission for that. And I think the architect has got a lot of other more important things on his list of things to do and get sorted, rather than doing my windows, which is, I guess, fair enough. There's a big building that needs lots of things doing to it, and not just my room, which yeah, I mean, it's a shame. I was hoping that they'd get them in, but what can I do? It's not my building, and so yeah, there's not really much I can do about that. But I am really looking forward to the final one-to-one workshops for this year. And if you are interested in doing a workshop, I have closed the bookings for the moment, just because I didn't want anyone else to book on thinking they could get on for this year. They will be opening again soonish, I think, probably maybe like December time, if not January, is what I am thinking for that. And then on the cards for this year, like I was saying, we have this month, going a bit way ahead there. On the cards for this coming month of October, I've got the raised belt tutorial that I was talking about, and I'm going to do a square raised one because that's my preferred of the raising. I just like the square raised belt, and I would really like one. So I'm going to make one for me this time round, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I've also got a review to make. You may have seen in some of my stories that I actually have, and maybe in some of my last videos as well, you might have briefly seen bits of it. I have a new burnishing machine, and this is from a company called Jess Woods, and I will leave a link in the description below for that. Now, I did get a bit of a deal on this in return for making the video, but the views in the video are all going to be my own. Basically, I've had this machine for quite a while now, and I am using it as much as I can, so I can give you guys the best sort of opinion on it, really, and I'm really enjoying using it. I do have some notes on it, which will become clear when I make the video, but yeah, it's a really good addition to the workshop, especially for me, because I do struggle with repetitive stroke strain, especially in my elbows, and that mostly comes when I am staining and polishing leatherwork. So this is sort of getting that completely out of the way for me, and it's really great to use. And yeah, I'm really excited to use it more, especially on the belt that I'm going to make myself, because there's going to be a lot of staining in that and a lot of polishing. So this machine is going to take all the heavy lifting of that from me and my elbow to the electricity supply that I am paying for. But yeah, so that's exciting, and it's great to actually have a tool like that and to work sort of with a company a bit more. And that is something I would like to focus on a bit if I can, to put sort of more of these sort of videos out to you guys, more of the tools videos, because tools is something that I do get asked about a lot. Where to get them, what's this good for, should I get this, should I get that? So I'd like to come and work more with sort of the suppliers to get these videos out to you. So that is something that I'm hoping to work on once the workshops have finished and I have more time to sort of push that side of things and try and make connections for videos and all that. So yeah, that is the plan for that. I'm also potentially, I haven't fully decided, I've brought a new domain name, and so it's not going to be a full rebrand, but it might be a little mini rebrand that I'm going to do, because the YouTube and my business started out as me making and selling leatherwork, and over time that has evolved through the YouTube channel to doing more sort of tutorials, obviously, but also sort of like the stuff that I'm selling now are the DIY kits, their templates, PDF patterns, that sort of thing. It's moving a bit away from J.H.Leather and more towards a sort of learning, I guess, establishment. And so I have bought a new domain. I'm not going to say it just yet, but I do have some ideas for the merchandise for that, which I think I mentioned in the previous video about it being a more inclusive product or slogan. So that I am really looking forward to, and sort of where that can take me. And so I also, if I get a chance, on my to-do list this month is also to get some photos of me in the workshop, so I can update the branding on basically the website and on the Patreon and on the YouTube channel and all of that. So hopefully that will come out well. If you are a member of our Patreon, then that will probably feature in the next Patreon exclusive vlog, which won't be the next one but the one after, I think, because I haven't edited that one yet. So hopefully, yeah, that will be coming out soon. I'm super excited for that. And then yeah, like I said, in the last one, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this. I don't really remember. I should probably have listened back to the last one to make sure I don't go over it again. But also, I want to start sort of getting ideas towards making a Christmas craft jumper as well. So we'll see. Hopefully that'll come to fruition. And if I can get it done this month, that'll be ideal. And then if it all works out and goes to plan, I'll let y'all know. But yeah, I think that is about it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the podcast, you can leave a review, and because apparently that does really help podcasts. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.